Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Brewed Business, a traveling podcast where I meet local business owners in different areas of the country. And we pour into who they are and what they do and how you guys can do business with them. I'm excited for you guys to meet my guests today. But first, we are today in Earl's Coffee Shop down in Loveland. And it's a coffee shop and floral business. So there's a shop next door with beautiful things I haven't had a chance to walk through yet. But home decor, you get flower arrangements, everything. She's been in business for 34 years. So anything and everything that you could possibly imagine. I know she just finished her season with graduation and everything all at once. So definitely come check it out. Definitely appreciate the local business. So today I am here with Tiffany and Keith with Colorado Markets. And I cannot wait for you guys to learn about what they do and where they're from. So before we get any further, cheers.
Cheers.
And really good coffee. So, you can come hang out and see beautiful things. So Keith and Tiffany, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to get to learn more about what you guys do. And so I always kind of start with this, but are you guys originally from Colorado?
We are not. We're originally from the Chicago area, and we moved out here originally to Highlands Ranch a little over 6 years ago, and up here into the northern Colorado area about 2.5 years ago.
Nice. So what drew you to Colorado?
Well, my background has been in winter sports business, and
nice.
So I had ski shops back in the Chicago area, and in 1992 I opened the world's first exclusive snowboard resort, where we took a small Midwestern ski area that had closed down. The Forest Preserve had bought it, and it was vacant, and we renovated it and opened it up for snowboarders specifically, because the ski areas weren't allowing snowboarders. So we did reverse discrimination and said we're only going to allow the snowboarders and not the skiers, and we did that for 6 or 7 years, and then we opened up to everybody like they did, and that's when Tiff and I met, is when I was involved in that, and then she came on board with it as well.
Awesome. So Tiffany, were you like a big snowboarder?
Not at all.
Okay.
So I was a skier, but I had a 4-year-old son when Keith and I met, and he really likes snowboarding, was absolutely addicted to it. So that's we had met online, but the fact that my son loved snowboarding meant I could be around him more often. So.
And then he actually came out here for college, and we came out here every year for the Snowboard Nationals. And so I originally thought I would be in Colorado because I went to college in Colorado. But then I was going to be a small fish in a big pond, so I decided I would be a bigger fish in a small pond to be involved in ski and snowboarding in the Midwest instead of out here. So it took me longer to get out here than I thought it would, but after 26 years, we closed the snowboard business down, and we opened up a CBD company, and then we came out here and started businesses out here in the Colorado area.
Yeah, I was going to say it's interesting that you stopped the winter sport, because it's very, very popular here, obviously, like in this area. That you stopped the snow business, moving to the mountains and things like that, versus then the CBD business is also really popular around here. So I could totally see where both industries are, a good match.
Well, and when I came out here, the reason we closed the snowboard business down was we were up for a 10-year renewal on our lease with the Forest Preserve, and there was a road project going in, and they were bringing more dirt to make our hill bigger. I was going to have to put in more snow making facilities, more lifts, and it didn't make financial sense at the time, and it was a lot of work, and Mother Nature as a business partner isn't always the kindest. So
she doesn't listen well.
So the timing was right, and Devin, Tiff's son, was out here already with college, and we just said, hey, let's just pack up and go. And we're kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies. We loaded up and moved without a job, without a place to live, 2 truckloads of stuff that we moved into storage units. And I was being considered as a GM for a couple of ski facilities out here, one here in Windsor, Hoedown Hill, and another one, Kuchara Mountain down in southern Colorado. And it just wasn't the right next move for me. And so we started the vendor market business because we were doing the CBD business as vendors. And Tiffany could tell you a little bit about how she took over helping a place in the Littleton area with doing events, and maybe you can explain that.
Sure. So I was new here to Colorado, and we went to an event as a CBD company and set up a booth. There were 6 booths in the whole event, so it was very small.
Yeah.
And the lady that owned the business, it was Colorado Vintage and Art Market in Littleton off of Bowles.
Nice.
Yeah. And so she said, why don't you keep your CBD here and sell it out of here? Because it was already a vendor mall with a bunch of vendors in it. And I thought, okay, that's a good idea. And a couple months later, we got an email as vendors that said, oh my gosh, my marketing person's leaving. I need help. I don't know what to do. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to take a retail job. I'm too busy with everything else. And Keith said, take the job. You'll meet people. We'll get to know people here. This is where we're kind of planting our roots. And so I said, okay, I'll go in 1 day a week. And that kind of turned into us taking things over. Well, more or less me. And I said, let's have outdoor events. And during COVID, when COVID first hit, we had an event with 4 food trucks and 83 vendors outdoors. They considered us one of the safest markets to attend because we had social distancing and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But it just boomed from there. And I remember right after that, the vendors saying, where are we going next? And I said, what do you mean? Well, aren't we going to do this again? And I thought, I don't know. I guess maybe we could. And the owner of the store wanted to retire. And so she had 2 months left on her lease and said, I'm going to close the shop, but if you want to have events, go ahead and do it. And so we did. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Like, what a fun job that I get to help small business owners expand and grow, and the community comes out and they really support these local small businesses. And it was just a different vibe than vendor markets in Chicago or anywhere I've been. And I love that. I love that local community vibe. And so we started looking into different plazas that we could pop up in their parking lot and just have these markets. And so we started really slow, and then we've done hundreds of markets over the years now. So we've been doing this for 6 years. And this year, I think we have 32 events on our books. Some indoors, some outdoors. And the crazy part is we go all the way from Colorado Springs all the way up to Fort Collins. So if you're not familiar with Denver, that's way south and way north, and we are covering it all. So that's a little bit about how this all started.
I love it. And so a lot of the things that you've implemented with Colorado markets are things that you learned yourself as a vendor, like things that you saw that like, oh, could go differently, or what are some of the like the biggest moments where you were like, oh, I wouldn't do it this way, or like something that you implemented because of?
So I curate all of our layouts, which is different than some event planners, but that was one of the things that bothered me. We would show up to an event and they'd say, just set up wherever. And then you have like vendors setting up right next to each other. There's no organization. Yeah. And that did happen. We had 15 CBD vendors in an event where we were selling CBD ourselves, and it was awful. And I thought, how could I do this different? And so we curated, we only allow up to 10% in a category into our markets, and we never put anyone close by each other. So I'm very cautious of that. And we also support local brick and mortar stores too. So if I have a jewelry store in Fort Collins downtown, I'm not going to put a jewelry vendor right in front of their store. That way it has a better flow, a better vibe. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do, and I had retail ski shops and think like a retailer, the brick and mortar stores in a plaza, they're paying tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be there for a 3-year lease or whatever it is. We're coming in for 1 day a month, and we want those stores to benefit from us being there. So Tiffany sends out, she has 30,000 shoppers in a database. She sends out a text and an email message before each market saying this is where we're going to be. We do an outreach to the stores and say, do you guys want to participate? Do you want to give stuff to the shoppers to draw them into your facility? Do you want to do a sidewalk sale that day? And there are other companies that maybe they don't do that step. And so they come into a community, a plaza, like in Fort Collins, we close off a street downtown. And they don't work directly with the permanent stores that are there. And it isn't as good of a relationship. So we look at it as kind of a hybrid situation. We're there as a pop-up, but we also want the local stores and restaurants and whatever's there to benefit from us being there.
I love that. And the markets themselves, like, do you ever have like a event focused, or they're just vendor focused?
Sometimes. So we have our Colorado Christmas Bazaar. It goes 4 weekends in November and December. So small business Saturday and Sunday weekend. It starts and we go all the way up till Christmas. So that's kind of a themed market. We have another one coming up, which is our Father's Day car show. What other?
That one's in North Glen, and we, as a CBD vendor, we would go to this organization, Street Riders for Life, and they would put on a big event in Lakewood with hundreds of cars and this huge event. So we went there as a CBD vendor. Well, we got to have a great relationship with the gentleman that put it on, and the city of North Glen. We did an event with them where we did a chalk fest where the artists could come out and chalk the spaces.
Yeah.
So we really enjoyed North Glen. Well, then this North Glen Marketplace approached us and said, we'd like you guys to do events. We said, well, we can do markets. Well, what about if you did something different, like maybe a car show or a swap meet or whatever? So we partnered with the car show group, and now we're doing a 50-50 in the parking lot, a car show with a market. And so we're able to bring in, car specific vendors, but also our regular vendors, and work together. The other two that we do that come to mind is we do Bubble Fest at Aspen Grove, which is a kids event where they have bouncy houses and foam pits and things like that. And then we do the Monster Bash down there, which is a Halloween themed event. And so sometimes it's in partnership with the plazas that we're in, and sometimes it's us just being there putting on the event. But the ones where we partner up seem to be more fun because there's more activations that go on. Like the Christmas one, there's people dressed up as Christmas trees with blinking lights that walk through, and we have carolers, and we have baby goat yoga dressed like elves. And so people come to do yoga, and these elves are crawling on them with these goats. And then
Such a cute idea.
And then we have stories with Santa, where we give out cookies to the kids. And one of our vendors, well, a couple of our vendors are also authors, and so they will read with Santa the books they've actually written, and the kids sit there and Santa reads them a book and they get cookies. So we always try to add to more than just the vendor piece, so that it brings in families, it brings in all ages, to come to it as an event along with a shopping experience.
I love that because it's two-sided. Yeah, you're bringing more people to like whatever area for the shops, the local shops and things, but also bringing visibility to like the local business owners as well, like the smaller business owners that need the vendor spaces.
Yeah, and we even get the bigger stores, like the Father's Day show. There's a Lowe's store right there. There's a big Prost brewery. We've talked to management of both of those places. So it's not always just the mom and pop hardware store or whatever. It can be the national chains. It just depends on what their philosophy is in supporting local at the same time as they're doing their normal 24/7 business.
And the Father's Day event is like genius. Like the dads can go check out the cars while the wives go.
I'll let Tiffany take this one because she's chomping at the bit to say what she wants to say.
Although I'm a car girl, so I would look at the cars more than do the shopping, but go ahead.
Me too. So one of the things I always said is Father's Day events are never good unless it's at a brewery or it's a car show. And so this is actually our first one, and I hit the trifecta on it. So we have the Prost Brewery right there and the car show. And so I know it'll bring the dads and the families out. And so we're super excited to do this because Mother's Day markets, moms come out, they shop, they always want to shop.
Yeah.
Dads, not always so much. But if we give them cool cars and a brewery, they're coming out. So,
and what we've been telling the dads, it's actually on the Saturday of Father's Day weekend.
Oh, so they
so if they want to stay in their
Yeah.
pajamas or underwear and watch sports on Sunday, they still can,
Yeah.
Right.
because this is on Saturday.
It's
Yeah.
nice. And you had like the whole family involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's so cool. And the company that does the classic cars, Is that an organization in and of itself, or are you guys doing?
So it's Street Rotters for Life, and they put on a Memorial Day and Labor Day car show in Lakewood. And like Keith had mentioned, we were vendors for them at one point, and we worked closely with them. And so when this all came about, I said, let's contact Jim and see if he wants to partner up. He can handle the car show. We'll handle the market. It'll be a great weekend for Father's Day. So.
And Puppies for Life is the 501c3 charity that benefits, and they do service dogs for veterans. And so a portion of all the proceeds from the car part of it goes directly to that organization. They do a raffle that day. I think this they're doing a 50-50 raffle. The one we just went to, a Memorial Day with them, they had donation items, and so they pull a ticket and you would win a Lowe's bucket with different things in it or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually going to be a 50-50 cash raffle this time. The cool thing about our industry is it's a family. And one of the things about when I had the ski and snowboard back in Illinois, the families came out and we got to be friends with them. We got invited to weddings and we got notices of births. And we've had different things where the kids grew up snowboarding there. They got married, had kids, and then they brought their kids there. So the family piece is really important to us, and the vendors are like a family. And she mentioned Jim. He's the one with Street Routers for Life that's been putting on these big events in Lakewood. He's also a magician, and we were doing events in Aspen Grove, big events like the Bubble Fest and some of these other things. So we went to the Aspen Grove management. We said, hey, do you guys need a magician? And they're like, oh, that'd be great to add that to our mix. So then we brought Jim in as a magician to be there for this event that they were putting on. So we all kind of weave our way in and out of each other's lives. And it's funny, we've been together for almost 22 years. And we never officially got married when we moved out here. So her little niece and nephew are like, well, we want to come to your wedding. And we're like, well, we're not planning one right at the moment. And so we decided to have a fake wedding, a faux wedding. Yeah. And we had a sign out front of the house, welcome to our big fat fake wedding instead of big Greek wedding. Yeah. Well, one of our vendors heard about it and made us an actual wedding cake nice. She gave it to Tiffany to have at our little fake wedding. So it's really cool how everybody supports each other. When we have a market, the vendors will shop at the other vendors. You know, if there's something they could buy at Walmart or they could buy from, Bob next door, they're going to support the person. And so it's really a cool community that heading into it, we had no idea that part of it existed. Yeah. But that's one of the things we love the most about what we do is not only are we helping them grow their business, but they're helping each other, and we've all become friends in the process.
I'm a big believer that the best business is built off of great relationships. The more people are connected, the more they feel, say importance, not the word, but the more that they feel heard and supported, then the more that they are going to support you, right? Like human reciprocity in general. I help you, you're more inclined to help me. And it's interesting that it built into this community for you just by trying to give people a better platform to sell their products.
And it's very organic. It's not anything that is specifically required in the industry or anything like that. It just happens sort of automatically that they'll walk when they take a break. And we have staff members that'll go into a booth and say, hey, do you need a break? Do you need a bottle of water? Do you need to go get food? We have food trucks at the events. And so our staff will watch their booth while they go do whatever they need to do. Well, while they're going to get food or go to the bathroom, they're also looking at the other vendors and bringing bags of stuff back when they come back to their booth. So it's really kind of fun.
That's perfect. What's the range of vendors that you guys typically work with?
Well, I'm going to let Tiff explain our Young Entrepreneur Program.
Oh, okay. So we started something new called the Little Artisan Market. And we started it last year to support kids 17 and under that would like to have a booth and try to sell their items. And it's been a really fun thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we had one little girl, I think she was about 8 years old. It was a vendor's daughter, and she made bracelets. And of course, she spent that money as quick as she made it that day in the
From
other
another
vendor
vendor.
booths.
Yeah.
But she had so much fun. And what was really cool is we had shoppers show up and say, we're the little artisans. We want to buy from them. And so they wanted to really help support these kids.
Yeah.
And another example, we had the Boy Scouts come out, and they had a booth. And the scout leader, I guess is what they call him, said to me, Tiffany, you won't believe how pleasant people have been. When we're in front of a grocery store, they won't talk to us. They won't say hi, nothing. She goes, in here, everybody was so nice and friendly, and the other vendors around us were friendly, and the kids just had such a good time, and it was a good vibe. And so that's the way we like to give back to the community and bring them in. We've also had people as old as like 90 years old making crocheted quilts that have come out with their family members to sell. And that specific vendor was during COVID era, which was crazy that she would come out. But it was neat because her relative had reached out to me and said, my grandma's 90. She loves crocheting these blankets. We just want to get her out around people. And so we have all ages at our events.
I love it. And like level of business too, obviously, from people just starting or selling pieces that they work, just because they're hobbies or something, something that they love, versus someone that's like, that's their full-time business.
One of the things that we did a couple years ago is we had a vendor success 101 class. My background's been retail. I started my first ski shop when I was 20. Tiffany's background is websites and internet marketing. Her first client was Captain James Lovell from Apollo 13 that Tom Hanks had played him in the movie. He had a restaurant in northern Chicago, and that was Tiffany's first independent website that she did. She was in corporate America doing websites, but she went off on her own. Another one that she did was one of the largest bakeries in Las Vegas that had a cable TV show, Vegas Cakes. That was another one. So she had a great background in that. Her sister is one of Denver's top bloggers in the restaurant industry, Bites with Brie, and she would teach a social media piece. We had business bankers and accountants come in and give classes. And what we found is we had people at that event, and this is true across our events throughout the summer. We had people that had never done an event before, and they wanted to learn to do an event, and they actually set up their tent in their backyard with some of the things we talked about, how to make sure you have tiers and put signs up. It's a unpaid salesperson to tell your story if you're talking to somebody else. And so we knew that they would benefit from it, but we also had a vendor that was making six figures doing 3D printing and other things. And her husband said that they even learned something at that event, even though they were experienced. So what we did is we gave them a little survey, and we said, do you do this to keep you sane as a passion, or do you do this to pay your bills and your household? What level of business are you as a vendor? And we have all types. We have people that this is their only income that supports their household, pays their groceries. And we have other people that say, I just do it because I'm bored, or because if I don't do it, I might become a serial killer. I mean, who knows? So
all sorts of reasons.
Right? And one of the things where we differ a little bit is there's a thing called multi-level marketing, and some people know about it, like Amway and stuff like that. And those are also small business owners, and they're also making their money to go on vacation or to, do something special for their kids. They're a small business. Some markets are 100% handmade. We're 90% handmade. But we do allow a percentage of those other business venture people to come in because they deserve a place for them to sell their product as well. And they don't have a storefront. They're not a corporation, but they're a small business owner here in Colorado. So we like to make sure that we're all inclusive in that respect. We like to make sure everybody gets to have an opportunity to sell their wares, meet people, create contacts. We do a VIP bag at each market where the first 50 shoppers that register online get a little goodie bag. and we tell the vendors they can put an item in there to introduce themselves, because the first 50 are the most enthusiastic. They're going to get there quick, and it also builds traffic for the day for the vendors.
Right.
And so we allow them to put, a small gift item, a discount coupon that day or for the next week, invite to their online store, whatever it is. And the shoppers are excited to get the bag, and the vendors are excited to put the items in the bag to introduce their business. So
I love that.
we have two customers. We have the vendors as our primary customer, but then we also have the shoppers as our secondary customer, and we want them both to have a great experience. So we like to have a nice blend of vendors, and it works well for everybody.
Yeah, you almost work at like a trade show. You go to a trade show and it's a little bit more like, you get the bag and you get the list of the vendors or the goodies, which is nice. But and then have like that variety, which I love. But it's interesting too. You mentioned like the different tips that you give to different vendors. When I started my business, I was doing more like freelance work, and I enjoy trade shows. I enjoy meeting people. So I was hired a few times to represent a company at different trade shows, and so I would start kind of giving tips to like local the other vendors around me, because the typical, and if you've been around this industry for a while, typical people like have like a table and they like sit behind a table, and I'm like, don't sit and don't sit behind a table. It was like you're blocking someone from feeling welcome into your booth. So every show that I've worked, like I always reorganize the space, and I'm like, you want people to come into your space, right? And then you can stand outside of it and just chat people up. I was always good at bringing people into the booth. They always ask like, what do you do? And I'm like, I just ask people how their day's going. I'm like, I'm not standing out there selling anything. And I'm like, I see something, I'm like, oh, I love your boots. And I'll like talk about the boots, and then, oh, how's your day going? And then they're like, oh, what do you do? And then they come into the booth, right? And there's like these different things to just be like more engaging so that people do come by your table more often. And it sounds like you guys really provide that environment for your vendors to do that.
We can see it with the vendors that are successful week after week after week, because we have a lot of vendors that pretty much follow us from event to event. And the ones that have that kind of philosophy where they create dialogue and they make conversation usually have a higher sale day than the ones that are back on their phone in the back sitting behind the table.
Look up, like you're interrupting me. What do you want?
And some vendors benefit from having a table in the front that people walk up to. There's different ways, and you can research it online, but there's different ways you can set up your booth. You can do a U where they walk in and the tables are shaped like a U. They have a Z, they have an N, how you set up your tables. And there's different ways, and we tell vendors experiment. Walk around, see what other vendors are doing if you're new, and see what you're attracted to. We had one vendor a few years back that had 2 6-foot tables in a row and then another 6 foot on an angle, so like a big L, and they were selling crystals. Every crystal was face down with the price underneath it. And as you walk up, there was just this whole table of crystals with no signage. You didn't know what the price was. And that's one of the examples we use if we do a training class is make it like a 3-tiered shelf. And one shelf is 20 and under crystals, and one shelf is these will help you sleep at night, or these will do this, and tell a little bit of a story, and then people will be directed to, because after you pick up a couple, if you pick up the $50 crystal and that's out of your budget, you're walking to the next booth. And so
without realizing that there are other things there that you could have,
absolutely. So I probably give advice more than I should.
Listen,
and I get elbowed every once in a while because she's like, well, what if they don't want to hear it? But I always, put a caveat in there like, hey, I'm just, this is what I see, take it or leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
But we want them to be successful. We take it personally. Our job is to put bodies in front of their booth. What happens from that moment on is their job as the vendor, but we want it to be a very successful day, not only cash-wise, but also with their own emotions. We want them to leave feeling like, wow, this was a fun day.
Yeah, so that they'll come back.
And Tiff will tell you she takes it more personally than I do.
I do. It's a very stressful because you work so hard and you want it to be successful, but sometimes you don't know will the customers show up? Will the vendors be in a good mood? Will the vendors support each
Will
other?
the weather hold out?
Yeah, will the weather hold out?
Is it going to be windy?
Yes. Oh gosh, that's the worst thing here in Colorado is probably the wind and the hail.
Yeah.
And we're constantly monitoring weather apps and lightning apps and all that stuff throughout the day to make sure that our vendors and their products are protected. So, but you want everyone to have a great, successful day. So
Yeah, I could definitely see that, especially when you start to feel like they're all like family, because then you just want them to succeed.
it is.
But you can't control what people are going to buy or not buy. You know what
Right.
the market's doing.
So one of the things that we did this year that's a little bit different, we were doing it last year, but not as aggressively, is advertise for our vendors that are coming to our event on all of our social media channels. I built an event management platform so that we could do that for our vendors, because any way that I can help them build their business, I want to be there for it. And one of the exciting things, one of our vendors came to me and said, Tiffany, I'm going to be on the local news for Living Local. And I was like, what is that? And he goes, it's a news segment where they bring in local businesses and they talk about what they offer and all this. He said, and I asked them, how did they hear about me? And they said, well, Colorado Markets posted about your business. And I was like, it's working. Yes. So that's a joyful moment for me, knowing that we helped him to get to that space.
Yeah.
And, we'll have vendors say, hey, can we use you as a reference? Of course, and we work really well with these vendors in promoting their business. And when they have those successes, it's amazing. Or they say, oh my gosh, I did good at this market last week, but then I got 10 orders later on the week and it had to have been from the market and blah, blah. That's stuff we love to hear from our vendors. So
One of the things that's cool is having a Fortune 500 IT expert in a small business world, that she can do things that maybe another production company can't do. Even with the car show, it's a one-off event, and they give out trophies based on the decade of the car. So the 50s cars get voted on, they get a trophy, the 60s cars. And they do it as the vendors, as a presenting sponsor. So the vendor can say, this is whoever, and they're picking the car in this category.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing that for years. Well, we came up with the idea of, what if we did a customer's choice, like a best of show kind of thing,
Yes.
where they could vote online.
Yeah.
So what Tiff did is, on her portal, she made a special thing where the car owner can upload a photo of their car, and people once a day prior to the event can vote for their favorite car. And so the People's Choice Award now is going to be a highlight of this car show, that the other group that's put it on didn't have that capability of doing it.
Yeah.
And, she did it in minutes to put it all together. It's
he thinks it's
mind-boggling.
minutes. It usually takes a lot longer than that.
Well,
He thinks if I wiggle my nose, magic happens.
Well, and that's going to be
Let
another
him think that. It's fine.
another personal story. We started dating, and I had a snowboarder that was doing my website, and it wasn't great. And so we started dating, and she's like, well, I have my own place where I can host websites. I build them. It's what I do. I have my job in corporate America, but I do this on the side. Why don't I do your website? And I'm like, well, should we mix business and pleasure, whatever?
That's always the question.
Yeah,
Right.
and she's like, well, I've already taken everything from your website, loaded it on my portal, and all I got to do is hit, start, and now I'll be your web person.
Right.
So now I think any web-related thing, all she's got to do is hit a button, and it's going to instantly appear. And she goes, well, it's not really that easy.
Well, listen, I will say your question about like business and pleasure, was it a good idea? 22 years later,
Yes.
I think it was a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're serial entrepreneurs, and we've gone through so many different businesses. So I was in corporate America, and some guy convinced me to leave corporate America to pursue my dream of doing websites and marketing, which I did very successfully for a while. And then I had a son that was a snowboarder because of someone else. And so I took time off from building websites, or I'd build them on the road. And we had a travel snowboard and ski team and a bus that we would pick the kids up at the airport and go to different mountains, and they would compete, and it was a blast. We would rent houses, and the kids would all get to hang out together. They're memories I know these kids will never forget. But that is kind of how we
Basically, it's all your
with
fault,
our
Keith.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
fault.
Well, she was making good money in corporate America,
Yes.
and then she was doing this as a side business. And they wanted her to move to a different office, and it was going to be tough with her 4-year-old because it was downtown Chicago instead of the suburbs. And I said, "Are you making enough money right now on your side business to pay your minimum expenses?" And she said, "Well, yeah." And I said, "Well, what if you took the 40 hours a week that you put into your corporate job and put that 40 hours into your personal job? How much do you think you'd be making then?" And I believe you quit your job like 2 weeks
I
later.
did. I put in my notice, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I was nervous because I like structure and like stability. And I just thought, okay, we're going to do this and run with it. And it was successful. And I've always chosen career paths that fill my heart and make me happy and not. You see so many people working jobs that they hate or they're miserable. And that's also why it's fun being with these vendors, because they love making their craft and doing their stuff. And this is like a release for them. And I love being part of that and knowing that we can fuel them to eventually maybe transition away from that job that they hate. We've had vendors that have opened up their own brick and mortar
I was
stores.
going to say the evolution of watching them
and
too.
it's so cool to see it. And we always go back and visit the stores and chit chat, or we help support them by still offering coupons to our audience, things like that. But seeing that growth and the magic that happens when someone's living their dream, that's something not everyone gets to be a part of, and it's magical.
Yeah, so beautiful. And do you get when you have your vendors basically graduate to like brick and mortars? Do you ever go back and like host events at like their locations?
Have we done that?
They haven't had the Aspen Grove location where we have some of our big events. One of our vendors had one of the spots in that plaza.
Nice.
So yeah, we actually have, not specifically with them, but we've had out front of their stores. One of the things we did was when Tiff started helping out Colorado Vintage and Art Market, it was a month-to-month vendor mall. And so you go in there and you'd rent your space, you pay so much a month, and then they take a percentage of sales. And you don't physically have to be there, you just restock it. So our company spun out of that location. Well, we were approached by a vendor that was going to open up at a new similar type of a location called Park Hill Treasures. And they approached us, and so we went in there. I laid out the floor plan for what's the most efficient way to have people be able to walk and shop at the booths. And they didn't think they would make money for the first 6 months. Tiffany went to our vendor database, and in the first 30 days, the store was 100% full with vendors, and they were making money right out of the gate of that similar footprint. And then we did markets in their parking lot. Well, the VIP bags, normally they pick up when they come to the registration tent. At that location, we had the VIP bags inside the vendor mall portion. So customers would come in, they would get a raffle ticket, and we're like, oh, and if you go inside, you'll get your VIP bag, and if you bring us a receipt that you bought something inside, you get another chance to win a grand prize, which is one item from every vendor outside. So we interacted with them to make it a benefit for us being there. And they told us over and over, every time we had an outdoor market were their biggest days of sales inside. So we do try to, create that relationship.
That's beautiful. And when people come to the trade, to the markets, everyone that attends has to register?
They don't have to, but
Okay.
we do the grand prize. And so we get a gift from every vendor, $10 or more, and we put it in a basket. And the shoppers come, they fill out a little card. Now, if they want one of the first 50 VIP bags, they have to pre-register online, and then they show us a little ticket and we go, okay, here's your goodie bag. And then they still fill out the card for the grand prize. That's how we've been able to data collect over 30,000 names. And so we keep our shoppers informed before every market via email and text. And I actually have shoppers that say thank you. I know where I'm going each week.
Yeah.
And we get what we call our groupie. So we have one lady, Crazy Marge, and some of our
Market
shoppers
groupies. Yeah.
will know who Crazy Marge is. And we love when she comes, but she, on Saturdays, that is her thing. She goes to craft markets on Saturdays, and she always seems to visit ours and talk to the new vendors and support the new vendors. Like she'll go, oh my gosh, look at these earrings I got, or I got this bag, or this or that. And so we have fun with our shoppers.
Yeah.
They come back behind the booth and they show us what they bought and what treasures they found.
Right.
And there's always so many cool things. And sometimes we don't even see all the things that they see because we're so busy trying to put on the market. But it's so fun when they share that with us.
It's beautiful. And so if I were to attend one of the markets, like what give me some examples of some of the vendors that would be like at your upcoming market.
So
Well, the person that got called on to be on TV, you can talk about him.
Spiked Handmaids, he makes tallow butters and lotions and lip balms and all of that good body care stuff. So that's
Yes.
one. We have Flannel Ability, and it's really cool. She takes repurposed flannels and puts really cool sayings on it. Like I've had some with Stevie Nicks on the back, things like that.
I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Oh. This is one of
Oh,
my
yes.
favorite vendors because I am a hat addict. So as you
Gorgeous.
can see, this was all hand painted by one of our vendors, GMCE
Yeah.
Global Trading, and it's him and his sisters, and they hand paint these hats. And I have probably
So
like
beautiful.
8 of these. And I love whenever he has new inventory, I'm always like, oh, I need another hat, I think. My husband thinks I don't need them, but I need another hat. Other people have worse addictions.
Talking about the community and the family, we have a crochet girl that is getting married, and we've been invited to the wedding, and she does a lot of our markets, and she does little crochet things, but she does these giant crocheted
Horror
characters
dolls.
and horror dolls and stuff like that.
Wow.
So we have permanent jewelry, we have 3D printing, freeze-dried candy. We had a couple that would do a lot of our markets, and in the conversation, we're like, well, what got you started doing freeze-dried candy? They're like, well, we're getting married, and this is how we're making money for our honeymoon, is that they were selling the
wedding,
freeze-dried
yeah.
candy to help pay for the wedding and the honeymoon. So that's a big one. Baked goods, we have a lady that does gluten-free baked goods, and I'm not normally a gluten-free guy. Her stuff is so moist and everything. And if you go on our website, you'll see Tiffany posted a picture of her at our last market of a cake plate, and it was completely empty. She sold out of all of her food.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, Sourdough
Yeah.
Bakery at the last Northland Market sold out of their food. We have a guy that makes cookies that are like little pies. It's
Oh
called
my
Cookie
God, they're my
Pie.
favorite.
He sold 500 cookies in an hour and a half and sold out.
Wow.
So some of the
that's
markets,
the kind of attention you want, like
Yeah.
as a vendor. Yeah.
yeah. So it's food products. It's handmade things. We had a girl that was in her teenage girl, and she was an amazing photographer, and she was doing her very, very first event with us. Well, my snowboard park was called Raging Buffalo Snowboard Park because it was Buffalo Mountain was the little ski hill that went to farm. And she had a white buffalo photograph, and white buffaloes are sacred. And
Yeah.
so the very first print she ever sold, I bought from her, was this white buffalo photograph that she had done. So we have photographers, artists, I mean, almost everything you can imagine that we have at the events. And it's really cool to walk around and see what everybody has.
Yeah. And do you typically, I mean, because I know you have like a following, right? You have a group of people that continue. What's, I guess, let me switch the question. What's the most unique vendor you've ever had? Something that you like never expected to see at one of your markets?
Ooh, I don't know. Oh my gosh, that's a tough question because there are
There's a
so
few.
many unique products.
One that comes to mind, maybe not the most unique, but they repurpose things into souvenir type stuff. And so we've got in our backyard these silver metal pipes
Oh, yes.
with a little birdhouse above it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a big wind chime, but the pipes are as big around as this coffee mug, and it's a bong, bong, bong.
I love it.
When the
he
wind
doesn't
Your
like
blows.
neighbors
sound.
must love it.
Yeah, yeah. But it's all repurposed items that they make unique things out of. They take license plates and make things out of the license plates, like little bird houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's unique in the way that they repurpose
That's
it.
RC Reclaimed Crafts. So we have a database of 5,700 vendors.
Uh-huh.
And so it's hard to always remember everybody, but when they do multiple shows, it's very easy to go, oh yeah, I know exactly who that is. But
Yeah.
RC Reclaimed Crafts, and they repurpose things for outdoors and really unique different things.
Have you guys built like a connected community? Obviously, the people that go to the markets, but like, are they able to communicate after the market?
They do. So part of the event management system that we put together this year was so that shoppers could find vendors
Mhm.
and vendors could be advertised more, because I can't tell you how many times a shopper will send me a message. I saw this piece of jewelry and I'm thinking, well, I had 8 jewelers at that event, so
Yeah.
I have no idea which jeweler. And then I'm going, well, what row were they in? Where do you remember them? And so now we've built this whole system where they can actually go on and find the vendor and their information and their contact information. And that helps our vendors grow their business because they're getting that exposure to our daily website traffic, which we have a ton. We pay a lot for advertising, but also organically, we're very search engine friendly. So we come up anytime you type in anything with markets in Colorado, our website's right up at the
Yeah,
top.
genius name.
Yeah, right. And that benefits our vendors, so in their businesses, and we love that.
Well, the other thing Tiff's done is she has 2 Facebook business pages. One is Colorado Market Vendors. And so when we have a vendor that's interested in finding out where we do events and what's involved, they can sign up there. And if she's going to launch a new date or a new location, she'll put it to that group first before it goes to the general public. We ask that if they sign up there, that they answer the questions so that we make sure they belong in that group. And then we have the Colorado Markets general page for the general public. And so people can go into those 2 Facebook pages. And she does Instagram. And I'm old, so I'm more Facebook driven, but she does all the other pieces of that as well.
We all have our platforms
Yeah.
of choice.
Right, yes.
But then they can interact, and we've had people win the grand prize, and they won an item from a vendor, and they came back the next week to buy more of that specific thing from that vendor that they won the item from. So it's really kind of a cool way that they support it, week to week, month to month.
Yeah, the snowball
Yeah.
effect. So now for a vendor who wants to potentially be featured at one of the markets, like, can you give us a sampling of like what those questions are, like how would they know if they qualify to be?
So they can go into our application, fill it out. They have to upload photos of their product or their business and what it's about. We do invite service-based businesses in at a small percentage. It's usually about 5% maximum in each event. And they give us a little description, kind of a bio. And from that point, we either accept or decline. And usually we decline if that category is full, because we want the vendors that are there to get the business and not to oversaturate it. So it's something that we really look at. And we
also
look,
for experience, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
For experience as an attendee, you also wouldn't want 20 of the same vendors.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. It gets boring to the shoppers. So we want to keep it unique, keep it fresh and stuff like that. And that's why a lot of times we do get very different vendors at our events. And then we have our regular vendors, which support most of our events, but it keeps a nice blend going of unique items. And so at that point, it gets sent to me and we go through the application and we curate it and kind of say, okay, yeah, they're going to be a good fit for this market. And we either accept or decline. I was actually accepting an application last night at 11 o'clock at night for a coffee vendor on Sunday. And it was cool because she sent me this cute little horse trailer that she's converted and she sells coffee out of it. And I'm like, you are perfect. Yeah.
And what a
People
great
can-
idea.
Yeah.
Get a
people
coffee
can
and
get
stroll.
a coffee. Yeah. And stroll the market.
We've
So-
had another girl that converted an old school VW bus into a drink thing. So it's kind of cool to see the personality and the uniqueness of the vendors come out, not only with their product, but how they present their product.
They travel with their own booth.
Yeah, yeah. So it's perfect.
That's awesome. And so for the type of vendors, do you do a deep dive? Like you check out their website, their socials?
I do.
You know, yeah.
I do, and
Yeah.
kind of see the audience and things like that. And, you know, if they're a food truck, what does their food truck look like? Is it going to be presentable in the plaza that we're in? Because some of the plazas are high end, and so it's got to look nice and it's got to be a good aesthetic. And that's the same way with the vendors. What does their booth look like? Are they setting it up nicely? You know, is it easy for people to understand what they're selling and things like that? So we kind of take all that into consideration, but we're also a great market for a newbie or someone that's never done it before because we're so highly organized. Vendors get a text 2 weeks before a market explaining all their load in and load out information, rules of the plaza, where they're going to park, all that. Because my ultimate goal is for a vendor to get there the morning of the market and not only have to talk to me unless they want to say, hey, hi Tiff, how's it going? And be totally calm and relaxed, because a lot of times vendors will show up at a market and it's chaos and they have no idea and they're stressed and their anxiety's high. And they're already at that level that morning. That is not a fun level. And so we want our vendors to be happy to be with their vendor family and feel like they know everything that they needed to know before they even got to the market. And
they're showing up for work that day, like just, hey, Sam, hey, whatever. Just kind of set up.
So, I mean, that's the goal during the market and even after. So part of the platform, the vendor can go in and put in their total sales and it automatically calculates their tax based on the location that they're at and gives them their tax contact. If they're a food person, it gives them their health department person, their fire department person. So they know exactly who to go to. And it's not like, you know, they're hunting for information. It's right there on the page. They don't even have to reach out to me because everything that they need to know is on the event info page.
The great thing about our partnership here and relationship is she works basically 12, 14 hours a day during the week on the computer, doing the layouts, figuring everything out as far as what's a vendor going to need, what's all that. I'm the boots on the ground the day of. So if we go into a new shopping center, I look at the space that we're going to rent and I figure out where the booth's going to go. The night before the market, I'm there with chalk and a 10-foot stick marking my 10 by 10 squares, and I put every space down with the number of the booth. She sends out to the vendors that footprint that shows them exactly where booth 47 is, which way should they face, where is the row going to be, where do you unload, where do you park.
They know exactly.
They know exactly where they're going to be. So I'm there the night before. I'm the first one there at 5:36 in the morning. I'm the last to leave. We have a rule that we do not leave the parking lot until every vendor has left, just because of safety reasons and everything else. And so it's a great team with the two of us plus the staff that's there the day of the market, because we each kind of have our expertise.
Yep.
And it's a good fit for us. During market days, she can kind of relax a little bit, shake hands and kiss babies, only deal with if someone's uncertain of something. Yeah. And then during the week, I can do chores around the house because she's on the computer all day. So it's a really good fit of our personal backgrounds and how we've merged that into this business venture.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for how long does it take you to coordinate and set that up? I mean, are you days before, or it's gotten
with the
a little
new
bit of a system now.
It's become more automated, which definitely helps me. So I can do things weeks in advance, whereas before it was constantly working these long days to try to prepare and try to get the traffic there and advertise the event and stuff like that. I can actually schedule and plan now with my system. And so that helps me too. And the vendors love it. They're able to go into their portal and see when their social media is going to post. Yeah. We post on different channels like Pinterest, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, all of it. So they get exposure all over the place, and a lot of markets don't do that. And so we really want to push them to get the exposure even when they're not at a market that day.
Well, and it's beautiful that you have like the background in the marketing and stuff. So I'm sure all of the things that you have implemented in place. And it's been how many years now of the markets?
So 6 years.
6 years. So all you're seeing like the the fruits of your labor.
Yes.
Right. So now that
Yeah.
traffic is coming.
Yeah.
And if we can for a second, because I'm in marketing too, and I wonder if you have this conversation with people a lot, but like the patience needed to allow the marketing to work is something that is so hard for a lot of people to grasp. They want, the miracles right away, and that's just not how it works. And so do you have like a time frame that you can kind of like share with people, like the amount of time that it took, so that now you don't really, I mean, it's consistent, but you don't have to worry about it.
I feel like our vendors appreciate that we market them, because they don't get that from other event planners. And when they see the work put into it, they know, like they knew that I was working 14 to 16-hour days to create this platform. And the only way that I could have created this platform was because of my experience as an event planner and my experience in usability and software design. And those two married together. And part of what happened was I was using other software that we were paying ridiculous amounts of money for. And they kept saying, no, we can't do that. No, it's not going to be that way. Mm-hmm. And I just said, I'm tired of people telling me no. I don't like that word. So
or they said yes, but then it never got done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can do that. And 2-3 weeks later, it hasn't changed. And she's like, I thought we were going to fix this. So she was like, okay, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah. So I just buckled down.
Problem solved.
Yes. And it definitely has been awesome this year because it is more automated. Vendors are excited because there's new things happening. We brought my son in to start doing websites for the vendors at a discounted rate.
Family
business.
Business.
Which I wasn't sure, but he loves it. And so I've been able to take him down the hard road of developing and stuff like that, and some of the easy, look, I could just bing, 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 and look at what happens. And so he loves it, and he's been teaching himself and taking classes too. But he also has me, who has 28 years experience in web development, not to date myself, but I started when the internet was first around, when people were coding in HTML. So we're able to do that too. And that's kind of fun. We did a giveaway for 2 of our vendors to get a free website, and really the stories and how excited they were when they found out that they got that. And I needed this. It's been a really rough year, and this is going to help my business. So it's kind of cool how we're able to collaborate as a family and do all this and help market our vendors.
And another marketing piece for like our Christmas event, since it's such a big deal and it's small business Saturday kind of kicks it off. We actually do press releases. My dad was a sports journalist for 34 years for the Chicago Daily News. And I grew up when I would show him my paper for when I was in 6th grade. Oh, I'm doing this paper. And he'd come through with a red pen and X, 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 X. And I'm like, why are you crossing that all out? And I said, I need 250 words. And he says, well, make sure it's 250 words that make sense. Don't just put fluff in there.
Yep.
And so I'll help write the press release, and we'll send it out. And we were on the Channel 7 News for our Christmas Bazaar last year as a place to go for Christmas events and things like that. So we try to look at every little piece. And the one piece of advice that we give the vendors is you have to think of what you're doing as a business. We require, if we're at an event from 10 to 3, we don't want a vendor to pack up at 2:30.
Right.
Because these are our published hours of operation. And someone that's working till 2:30, that's going to rush to get over there because they want to hit the market for the last 15 minutes. And as soon as one vendor packs up, they all start packing up. It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
And
like
we've had vendors
leaves a party.
we've had vendors make their biggest sale of the day, $200-$300 sale, 5 or 10 minutes after the market closes. We had a vendor last week or the week before make more than their booth fee 15 minutes before the market even started. So we tell them, make sure you think like a business. This is your retail store for this period of time that the market exists. So think like a store owner.
And if you pack up slow, the other vendors could buy your stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's the hours of operation is part of it, but it's also, don't be back on your phone scrolling. We had a vendor and I needed to ask them a question. And so I walked up to the booth and I stood there for 3 minutes in front of their booth, and they never looked up from their phone. If I was a customer, I would have walked away. And so some of them, really appreciate and understand the business part of it. Some of them don't. They think I'll show up and I'll make $1 million. But
would be nice.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And if we had that secret, we would not be
Yeah,
sharing.
no.
Right. So that's just one little piece of advice. Think like a business owner, and you'll have much better success.
It's beautiful. It's so true too. And presentation is key. It's like it's marketing in real time. You could do all you want ahead of time online and stuff, but like when people see you face to face, there's no filters for that, right? So you have to show up like how you want to be perceived in
absolutely.
your business.
Well, and having been a retail store owner, and I mean, I've had a bunch of sales jobs over there, so I've taken sales classes. And there's this thing called your USP. It's your unique sales proposition. And we tell people, if we did, which we won't, if we did put a candle company right next to another candle company, why would a customer buy from you instead of the other one? Is it because you're soy-based versus whatever? Is it because you're making this money to whatever? Tell your story, because they're going to buy you as much as they're going to buy your product.
And don't be on your phone, because they need you is kind of like the recommended part of that, but yeah, being able to speak to like what it is that you do and really having an idea of how to best represent like what it is that you offer. A lot of people are great at what they do. They're not great at describing it. So we get that. But at least show up with intention, I would say, right? That's the whole goal. And the people that you meet there may not buy something in the moment, but like you mentioned, they can come back and purchase from you in the future. So
they'll come to markets specifically for a vendor they saw at another market.
Right.
Yeah. Which is another thing the website has. It shows when a vendor is going to be at a market. They can publish that. So if people are looking for a specific vendor, they know, okay, they're going to be at this market.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to have to check out the market here, like your markets around here, so I could see some of the vendors. Because we definitely love to support local business. And I don't know if you guys are aware of the number, but I know I was told the number of small business owners in this area of Colorado is pretty high. There's more small business owners, I think, than anything else.
And the community here likes to shop local. You saw, even during COVID, you saw the Colorado flags in windows and things like that, shop local. And Colorado has always been great, not only being green friendly and everything else, but supporting the local community, more so definitely than Chicago, where we came from.
Yeah, 100%. I've been told, I'm not a beer drinker, but I've been told like people in Colorado only like Colorado beer. Like it's kind of like a staple. Like you can't support anything from outside.
Yeah, it's like me with bread. I don't buy bread at the grocery store. I buy it from one of our sourdough vendors, either at a market or I pick it up from their house or something like that, or focaccia, cinnamon rolls, all that stuff. I would never buy it in the store again. I always support my local vendors, and plus it's so good.
Right. Especially the people that make it too,
Yes.
Which makes it perfect. So I know we're kind of wrapping up here at the top of the hour, but is there any type of vendors that you guys have not had a chance to showcase at your market that you would like to? So any business owners that are watching this, that it would be something that you guys would like to have in your next market?
We would like to get more local farmers with produce, meat, things like that, because we are not focused on all farm produce, but someone that has some of those things would be very successful, because I know we've had people bring eggs from home that they sell, and they sell out like this. So I think having that little bit of aspect to have more produce and stuff would be kind of fun. And some of the big artist vendors, we've had some here and there sprinkled in, but I'd really like some more of that. I think
we've had people that make hats out of repurposed couches and purses out of repurposed couches. Anything
cool.
that has that kind of a vibe to it is really great, because once again, the story behind it is more than just the product itself. Farmers coming out would be great, because people see tents in a parking lot, they think it's a farmer's market, and then they get there thinking that and it's artisans, which is great. They'll buy artisan stuff, but they would have bought eggs or beef or something like that. So that's definitely something we'd like to see more of with that piece. But the creative piece of something is there's nothing that I can think of off the top of my head, like, oh, because we've seen a lot of it.
Yeah.
But anybody that has, boy, I wish I could take my, goal of whatever it is and turn it into, that's great for what people expect when they come to our markets.
Like wood carvers and sculptors and things like that. Yeah, if you're a woodworker.
Yep. And anything that's like a one-off, because when we started, there wasn't really permanent jewelry. There wasn't really 3D printing. There wasn't really freeze-dried candy. And now people have seen that that's a way. COVID created side hustles. When COVID started, there's so many people that wanted another way to make money because they couldn't go to work. Maybe they got laid off because of COVID or whatever. So it grew our industry. Well, now it's kind of tapered off a little bit. So somebody that's had this idea and they're not sure if they should do it, our thought is you won't know until you try.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the market is a perfect way to test it.
Yeah, you can test it. Before you commit to a 3-year lease at $5,000 a month to have a retail store, do a market. It's cost effective. It's easy to try and get yourself started. And what I've always said in my life is I'm not going to be laying on my deathbed being worried about things that I did in my life. I'm going to wish that there's something that I should have done and that I did it and didn't do it. So if you have a thought that I would love to try this, go for it. You won't know until you try it. And like I said, we have this lady that used to come to our markets. Well, she did 3D printing. She was the one that her husband, they're making 6 figures. They learned something from our deal. She now has 20 or 30 3D printers going full-time in her basement with wholesale accounts across the country, paid for their kids to go on a vacation to Disney. And that's her full-time job. She turned something that was a hobby, and now she has accounts all over the country, and it's her full-time job.
And she still gets to work out of her house and be with her kids. And that was the main focus of her doing this was, well, my little guy's little and I want to be home for him. Maybe I'll start this little side hustle and see what happens. And it's bloomed into a business where she actually has other vendors working for her now at her house that used to vend on their own, helping her to keep up with this business. And that's another little magic moment for our business, is knowing that we helped facilitate and see that growth with her.
Well, and that's beautiful, because the vendors, they can see real time, like who might be another part of like what they do. So maybe like you mentioned before, like the 2 candle people next to each other, maybe one person is great at the sales and then the other person is great at like the creating, and then you can create partnerships from that. You get to see it real time of like how they act and how they do business and what products and stuff they sell. Oh my God, I'm so excited for you guys. This is amazing. I want to be part of the community, but I don't have a crafty skill.
You better find it. You better find a side hustle.
You could come and have your market business, your marketing company have a booth and talk about marketing.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
That is exciting. I'll be like talking about everybody around. Be like, oh, you should check out this person. And this is kind of why I got into marketing, because I was always I've got a guy kind of girl, like, oh, you need this? Like, oh, I know somebody. Let me call them. Which, on a closing note, because I know we're over our time here, but I assume that you guys, from your circle of friends and people that you guys are probably like the connector people. Does everyone like call you now and be like, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you know somebody?
Yes. Yeah. Or they'll say, oh, I want to have an event at our senior care facility. Who do I call? What do I do? Could you do that? And a lot of times our calendar's built like the December before the year. So we don't have open dates, but we can connect people with things, or, oh, I need a burger food truck. Who do you recommend? Things like that. So, and even the plazas we work with will come to us and say, I need a, balloon vendor or whatever it is. And we're able to connect people. And we do that constantly. And we love doing that because we're spreading the love through these businesses.
Yeah. And again, reciprocal, right? Like the more you refer, then the more those people are definitely going to continue to go to your market.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
They know where it's coming from. So one question, and then I'll ask you like kind of a closing question. For the vendors that come, is it like a daily rate fee? Is it based off of like sales? How do you get, or is it like a
We never take a commission of sales. Okay. I think that's dirty. I don't like that. we charge a flat rate, and so it'll depend on what they are. Like the little artisan market, I think the booths are $65 for the
Nice.
day, and then a typical vendor would pay anywhere between $125 to $150 a day.
Oh, that's excellent.
Food
Okay.
trucks are usually at $75, and that's usually just to cover our costs to the health department and things like that to hold the event and have a food vendor there. So we try to keep it as low as possible, and we've kept our prices the same for the last 6 years. So last 5 years. So they increased a little bit because we have more liability and insurance and marketing and stuff like that. But our vendors that are part of our little family, they know that when they invest with us, they're gonna get marketed. It's a step above other event planners. So
One of the things that we do is we offer a first timer for the 125 booth, which is our standard rate. The 150 are the bigger events, but a $99 first time special, so that if they're not sure, they fit with us or whatever.
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of the year, when we launch our calendar, we do an early bird special. And if you do 6 events or more, you get a 20% discount. 10 events or more,
Nice.
you get a 25% discount. And you're grandfathered in at that discount if you add dates throughout the year. And so we have vendors that are waiting for us to launch our calendar, especially if they're in a very competitive category, because they know if they book a spot.
First come,
that-
first serve.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
Yes.
she'll make an announcement like, hey, at midnight on this date, we're going to launch the calendar. And then the internet blows up for a little while people are booking their spots.
More 12 to 14-hour days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for
I
Tiffany.
mean, we've had people beat out other vendors by like 20 seconds, and they're like, "But I'm so upset." I'm like, "Sorry, it's first come, first serve." So yeah, it's a fun time, and then vendors kind of can plan their whole year with us, or however, or if they're doing other events, things like that.
The one thing that we feel a need, because there are craft fairs that the school or the church is going to do, and they might be less expensive because you use their toilets, they don't need porta potties. You use their volunteers, you don't need staff. You use their insurance, you don't need insurance. You're not renting the space. And those are good, but there might be, your child's school might be once a year.
Yeah.
Then there's the state fairs, and those could be thousands of dollars to rent a spot in the state fair. But you're guaranteed you're going to have 10,000 people, 20,000 people, whatever. Certain vendors have the product and the capability to fit into that mold, and they're going to make bank on those weekends. But there again, it might be a week of the year, that Pueblo State Fair or whatever it is. We're the 80% in the middle, where a vendor knows that they can make money almost every single weekend of the year. And we're priced accordingly so that they can make a profit, that we can pay the insurance that we need, that the shopping center is going to require, and we can pay the porta potties and everything else. So where we like to look at it is, this is our niche, and how can we be the best possible company for a vendor to partner with for that niche piece.
Yeah.
And I think over 6 years we've done a pretty good job of putting it together.
Absolutely. And you guys have the following for people to go consistently. You have the marketing and the traction and the traffic and stuff. So yeah, it's an ideal case for, anyone trying to sell to like the local crowd,
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Well, I am so excited. So the next event you have is the Father's Day event, or do you have one
No, we
coming up this
have
weekend?
Saturday in Arvada at Arvada Marketplace, so right outside of Sam's Club in the same plaza as In and Out, and that's 10 to 3. And then Sunday we're doing Colorado Springs at Union Town Center, which is the Briargate area, and so we're there 10 to 3 on Sunday, and then Centennial the next weekend. Then the Father's Day show. So there's very
every Saturday,
few
every Sunday.
Saturdays we get off.
Yeah.
Mondays are our weekend.
Yeah.
But so we're all over the place. North Glen, Centennial, Aspen Grove and Littleton, Arapahoe Community College. So Fort Collins downtown, I love that show. It's such a great vibe and so fun to close off the city streets.
Yeah.
So we're all over the place.
Fort Collins is a great event for us. It's also physically the hardest event for me. I usually get
Well,
there.
spread out.
I can't
Oh
get
my
there the night
gosh.
before to chalk the spaces. We have to close off a street, so we have traffic control to deal with. I usually get there 2 or 3 in the morning to mark the spaces. I have to use biodegradable chalk because they've put a brick paver on their streets in there. So there's some extra hurdles for me on those days, but it's such a great event that 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going, wow, this is amazing, and I don't get tired until I get home.
Right.
But
And then you crash. And you
yeah, I
It's
totally
exhausting,
crashed. I
but
totally
so
crashed.
rewarding.
Yeah. So the events that you do, is it like a monthly, like every month on the first Saturday you're at this place, or it does change?
It changes a little
Okay.
bit, and there's some that are more featured events. Like we have Bubble Fest in July, which is a huge event in Aspen Grove. So some of them are more boutique pop-ups,
Okay.
and then other ones are gigantic. Like the one in Aspen Grove is 130 vendors and 14 food trucks, and it's just thousands of people that walk through there. And the day goes like this,
Yeah.
which is great, and it's so much fun. But sometimes we don't eat on those days.
Yeah. Right. You don't have time.
Yeah, no
But-
time.
But certain ones like Arvada, we try to do the first Saturday of the month. So certain ones have consistency. The Colorado Springs is a one-off because one of the shopping centers that we work with a lot that owns multiple locations, they're like, we want you guys to come down and do an event in Colorado Springs. And we're like, we moved from Highlands Ranch up to Johnstown. So even just doing Littleton events now is a drive. Now you want us to drive all the way to the Springs.
Yeah.
We went down there a couple of days ago to do some put signs up for the weekend and things like that. And we got pounded with hail.
Oh,
And,
no.
It's an hour and
Great day to
45
go.
minutes.
Traffic.
And so that one's a one-off, and it's a very active shopping center. There's a Department of Motor Vehicles there. There's Safeway there. There's a bunch of restaurants and stuff. So it's a good plaza. So
Yeah.
this is our way of testing it. And if it turns out that the vendors do well, the traffic's good, then for next year we might add multiple dates for that location.
Nice.
So we look at a location, we'll try it. If it looks good, we'll put it on the calendar. If for some reason it starts to taper off, then we're like, okay, we're going to move
Yeah,
that
you
date to
readjust.
somewhere else. So that's part of what we do for the vendors is we will figure out where we think they're going to have the most success, and then we adjust our schedules accordingly.
It's beautiful. And is some of the vendors that you speak to, like if someone is interested in an event, have you ever found yourself like, oh, maybe not this market, but that market in that
Yes.
area, you would do really well. And if you had to choose between the two, I would choose that. Good. So you guys give them the advice on
Like
100%.
there's certain areas where artists are more supported, or it just depends. And you we've been doing this long enough that we kind of have a feel for how a vendor might do.
Yeah.
We don't know how their booth is going to be, if they're going to be interactive, like you said, standing up, talking to people,
Yeah.
things like that. That makes such a huge difference. And so a lot of times if we have a new vendor, I'll be like, go watch Linda because she's one of the best salespeople, and watch how she pulls people into her booth.
Yeah, do what Linda does.
Mimic what Linda does.
Linda.
So, yeah.
But we have vendors that come from Nebraska. We have vendors that come from Wyoming. We have vendors that come from New Mexico, from Pueblo. We have vendors from the Springs that come all the way up to Fort Collins. And we have
Yes.
vendors from up here that are going to go down to the Springs. So
Yeah,
they're
real
willing
variety.
to travel, to promote what they're doing.
Wow, that's perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm definitely going to be checking it out. Lots of markets. I'll be posting pictures. I am so glad you guys joined me today. This was so fun.
Thank you. It was
and-
fun.
Yeah.
And what a great business model you guys have created, and great for supporting local businesses in the local community, and just giving like something to do, right? Which helps everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So if you guys haven't paid attention, their website has been scrolling across the bottom this whole time, coloradomarkets.com. Go on their website, check out what their upcoming events are. If you're interested in being part of the market, there are forms on the website as well, so you could fill out the application and get your stuff out there. So like they said, if you're thinking about doing something, or if you considered potentially selling the beautiful artwork that you do at home, definitely reach out. It might be a good place for you guys. Any final words of wisdom before we end today's episode you guys want people to know?
If you have specific questions that you can't find on the website, shoot an email to Tiffany@coloradomarkets.com. And then she's in front of the computer all day long. She might not get back to you right away, but she'll be your resource leading up to the day of. And then if you need help setting up your tent, you're not sure which way you face, you have a generator that you need to move out of the back of your car, which was last weekend. I'm the guy for that. So.
Muscle for hire.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
she's the beauty and the brains. I'm the brawn, and it works well. But we want you to be successful. We've only had a couple of markets that didn't do well, and I'm going to tell you a quick story to finish with. We're in Littleton for Western Week down there, and we're on the Arapahoe Community College campus, and everybody told us there's going to be extra staff, extra police. You're going to need extra stuff, and it was this huge event, and there was a parade and all this other stuff, and we were so excited, and we're telling all the vendors, oh my God, this could be one of the busiest. People walked past our market, went to the parade, watched the parade. We had a Dave Chappa, who's a Johnny Cash musician, live music there. They came back, got in their car, and left. And it was not a super successful day. And at the end of the day, my lovely wife over here cried her eyes out.
No.
Because we take it personally.
Yeah.
And so so we don't do that weekend at Arapahoe Community College
Never
anymore.
again.
But we want you to be successful, and we're open to suggestions. At the end of each market on the portal, there's a survey, and we ask questions. Did you like the location? How was the staff? How was the interaction with the company? We want feedback because our job is to make sure that you get the most out of the market that you can. So do not hesitate to reach out if you have a suggestion of a location or how we could do things differently, or whatever the case may be, because we will look at it honestly and seriously and add something or take something away based on what might make it a better day or a better event. So we're here for you as a partner, and your success is the most important part of this.
So true. And if you couldn't tell that from the whole interview, I mean, you guys are definitely there for the vendors, which is perfect. So if you guys have any questions, any comments watching this on the replay, definitely put it in the comments. We'll keep an eye on that and get back to you, or, reach out to Tiffany, or go check out the website, multiple different ways that you can find out more about these events, and definitely support local, because why not?
Well, and I see somebody posted that they're getting another hat in the thread there. So our hat guy is going to have to be ready.
100%. 100%. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'm so excited that I met you both. This was so fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you guys in action.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone
for having us.
for tuning in. We will see you guys in the next episode. Have a fantastic day.